Hey VC, John here. I haven't made a video in quite a while, I'm not sure now, maybe 2, almost 3 months really. I haven't got a real explanation for that. I usually make a video in response to something that's on my mind or that I'm wanting to talk about or have an opinion on, and I just haven't felt motivated to have that opinion recently. And I've still been buying records, still been watching other people's videos, they're not so much. Still involved on Facebook, but I got a bit bored with that as well recently. I mean, there's only so many photographs of Beatles mono albums that you can take, really. God forbid that Pink Floyd might release a new album, there'll be mass hysteria, but we'll see. What has motivated me to make a video is that I wanted to talk about the new U2 album. Everybody now, unless you've been living on an island, must know that U2 released Songs of Innocence initially via iTunes, and it was dropped down into everybody's iTunes free of charge. So, and there was a lot of comments about, you know, that wasn't really very the right thing to do, and all this business. What I think it's done is actually highlight everything I ever thought about downloads and MP3s. The reality is that many of us have been downloading for a long time. Me, I trace it back to when I was about 10. Might not be quite as sophisticated as it is now, but nevertheless the principle was the same. What I used to use was one of these. Well, not exactly one of these, this is a digital radio, but you get my point. We used a radio, and then we used, to do that, one of these sophisticated things called a microphone, and we'd sit there waiting for our favourite song to come on and switch it on and record it, hoping the DJ didn't speak too much at the beginning of it or at the end, and then we switch it off when the song was gone. And in the UK there was the chart show on a Sunday night, still on I think, when it was much more important, and people would go to school with tapes that they'd made, and they were in the order of the ones they picked out on the chart. So as it counted down from 40, you know, they might like number 38, so they'd do that one and switch it off quickly. The next one they'd do number 26, you know, until they got to somebody like Slade at number 1, which they really wanted to have on. So the principle of getting music for free is not new. I guess some people were cynical about why it was actually included on by Apple, why they did it. Well, we're not going to know that for sure, but I guess the received wisdom is that they thought that people that didn't have iTunes would download it to get the free album, and that would give them more iTunes accounts. However, I already had iTunes. I don't download MP3s very often. I often load CDs onto it so that I can put it onto an iPod. But at the end of the day, I didn't feel strongly about it. I didn't feel. I read somewhere where there was an interview with U2, and some punter had said, "Don't do it again. It's really rude." Well, it's just nonsense, isn't it? You know, they say, "Don't put free music into my iTunes because it's really rude for not asking." Well, that's just ridiculous, isn't it? If you go to the supermarket and they're putting in like your groceries and bleeping them through, and then you pay for them, and they're dropping a load of chocolate biscuits and sweets for free, you're not going to get home and say, "Well, that was blinking rude, that was. I best not do that again, so I won't shop there." So the whole thing was nonsense. Had U2 released the album in isolation through only that medium, then it might have been slightly questionable. However, the new album was released 2 or 3 weeks later on several formats: a single CD, a deluxe CD, and vinyl. And I waited. I didn't bother listening to it on iTunes. I've since downloaded it since I've had the album, and this is what I want to talk about. I have bought the double vinyl. I've also got through Amazon, I think, another good company. You've got to take them for what they are. They provide an auto rip service, which means if you buy any CD or album, usually you get a free MP3. So this is the double album. So firstly, it's a gatefold, and it is really, in terms of quality, it's top drawer. It was in shrink, really tightly sealed up. but you won't be able to tell. But I don't think, but it's really high gloss card, really top quality. Now, there are people like me who've been buying vinyl for a long period of time will realise there's been a change since vinyl has had its renaissance. I mean, it is the actual package is much better than it used to be. Now, I've got several U2 albums in there. An example would be War, for example, from 1983, I think, or late 82, 83. And it mass produced, cost about a fiver probably. Now this has cost me £23, which is probably a bit more than I would want to have paid for it. I think probably 20 is normally, but being a bit bloody minded because I wanted to have the physical copy of it, I paid that bit extra. So it's really tough. It's so good, in fact, that I'm trying not to touch it because it leaves fingerprints on. And then it opens up and it's got a nice picture of the band in the middle. And then Graham Garr, he pointed out to me that actually if you look inside the sleeves, you can there's actually a picture of the band inside as well. So the artwork is really excellent. So coming on to the actual, there's 2 discs. It's a double album. Well, it's not a proper double album. They're actually something like I think it's 12 songs. 12 songs. It's 11 songs over 3 sides is the album, and then side 4 is a 12-inch mix of a song called The Crystal Ballroom, which runs at 45. So it's actually 3 sides of the album. I guess they could have crammed them all onto one to make it a bit cheaper, but you know, they were making a statement. And then a lot of information on the sleeves. So you've got it's on white vinyl, which is really nice. And there's been a lot of attention paid to the sleeve notes. In fact, it's virtually an essay that Bono's written. Now, I'm not sure exactly how old Bono is. He's a bit older than me. I think he's about 53, 54. And it's actually, the essay that he's written describes how he got into U2 in the first place. And it's very reflective. And reading it, it felt very much written from the perspective of a person that's in the same position as me. You sort of kids have got to a certain age where they are starting to make their own way in life, and you're wondering what's next. And as I say, it's very, very reflective. So it's 180 gram vinyl, white, really nice condition. So the important thing, what's the music like? I've listened to this 3 or 4 times now, and the first thing that struck me is it feels really 80s. You often hear people say, oh, it's a return to form. Well, U2 have never been out of form, in my opinion. So it does feel very much as if they're trying to recreate the sound that they had in the over 3 albums probably, which is War, Unforgettable Fire, my favourite, and The Joshua Tree. And there are songs on there, for example, there's one called, where is it? It is called Raised by Wolves, which is track 3 on side 2. That would not be out of place on War, in my opinion. And there are other songs where you hear things and you think, yes, that sounds familiar. That's like a riff almost from The Unforgettable Fire. It's very well produced, or I think it is. I really like the production. It sounds great on my setup. It sounds pretty poor on my phone, to be honest, if I'm frank with you. But overall, if this album is influenced by anything, it's by themselves. This is a quintessential U2 album. The sound is excellent. The songs, all the lyrics have been written by Bono and The Edge, and you keep hearing things throughout it, which you think I can't quite place where that comes from. And the one for me at the minute, which is really doing my treeing, is side 4, which is a remix of a track called The Crystal Ballroom. And it's on 45, and the bass line on that, I cannot place it at all. Initially I was thinking, it's sort of the same tempo as Billie Jean, the Michael Jackson song, but it's not that beat. So if anybody does know it, either Facebook me or put a comment down below, because it's really making me, I was lying in bed last night, I was thinking, is it the 3 degrees, giving in? Is it the Tramps? You know, something from Setting Off Average? Can't place it at all. So we've got 11 new songs. However, there's also a deluxe CD, and there's a couple of people on Facebook been urging me to get that. And then I did the auto rip onto my phone from Amazon and found that I got all those tracks anyway. So there's a lot of acoustic ones in there, and I did listen to those on the train coming home tonight, and they are very good. So it's an excellent album, and anybody that sort of is dissing it because they released it through Apple initially is doing it a vast injustice. So when we look at it in perspective of having all the formats available now, what have U2 actually done? It seems to me they have done an advance release, which people have taken advantage of, and then they've released other formats. So they've released multiple formats of this album, and why not? You know, it's the modern world, isn't it? These are not replacements for each other. If it's done anything for me, it's pointed out that MP3s are not an album format. They're just advanced play or airplay or convenience play. The albums stand up themselves when they're created in this way. So I'll wholeheartedly recommend this album to you, and put aside your prejudices. U2 may well have made a lot of money out of Apple, but I don't think this cost them anything in album sales. It surely can't have done. So I'll leave that with you, VC. I'll be interested in your comments, and take care.